Hi, my name's Randy Shively. I'm the Director of Research and Clinical Development here at Alvis. And the topic today we're going to talk about is managing holiday stress, coping or moping. This can be one of the greatest times of the year with the holidays coming up, but it also can be one of the most difficult times of the year for a lot of reasons we'll talk about in this training today. Also want to mention we will talk in this training about sources of holiday stress, so you can kind of be prepared for certain areas of things that come up this time of year. And at the end of the training, we'll develop a seasonal plan to get through the holidays and get through the early times of the year. This can be a time of depression and sadness for a lot of people. So we're going to talk kind of ways that you can plan ahead to maybe prevent some of these down times this time of the year. So looking forward to this training, and thanks for being here.
Okay. Welcome to Managing Holiday Stress, Coping or Moping. Are you stressed out yet? The holidays are almost on us. Thanksgiving and Christmas, or whatever you celebrate for the holidays. Even if you don't celebrate Christianity, you still celebrate something special over the holidays. It adds stress. We're going to talk today about how clients are impacted by this stress and staff are impacted. So, what are some of our objectives? We're going to talk about sources of stress over the holidays. Where does the stress come from? What are the different areas? How does this stress affect our body and our brains? How can we become more self-aware of the effects this stress is having on us? Because when we're not aware, boy, we can get in bad situations, physically and emotionally. Number 4, we're going to utilize coping mechanisms and talk about them as models and resources for clients. As staff, we can learn better ways to cope over the holidays, and our clients can learn better ways to cope. And finally, we're going to explore strategies for treating holiday-induced stress. We're going to also talk about SADS or seasonal affective disorder. It also happens this time of year. This can be a fun time of year, but it also can be a depressing time of year. And how we take care of ourselves and our clients will affect coping or moping. And let's hope we cope more than we mope. So, 2 parts to this training. We're going to talk about staff and how all this holiday stress impacts us as staff. We have families, we have bills, we have traffic, we have a lot of places to be. During this training, we're going to explore stressors and strategies to relieve the stress, because stress becomes toxic because of a drug called cortisol. It's a neurochemical in our brains, and too much cortisol breaks down, invites disease, and breaks down our body parts. And cortisol gets released when we're really stressed out. So we're going to figure out ways to relieve some of this stress as staff. For our clients, this holiday season may be a season packed with triggers of all kinds, right? So we're going to explore some of the stresses for our clients, how they get triggered, and ways that we as staff can help them cope. This may include redirecting behaviors and reminding clients of needed areas of support. And hopefully we're the supports for them during this time of year, because they're in our custody and many of them are separated from their families. So as staff, what does the holidays mean to you? Let's talk about that, because it can be a joyful, fun, enchanting time. We see good movies, we reminisce over past holidays. Sometimes we get snow. It reminds us of Christmas time. But also, best of all, that can add stress. This has to be the best of all holiday. Well, we're setting ourselves up, I think, because comparing this holiday to the last holiday, and there's a lot of stuff we can't control, can set unrealistic expectations. Glad when it's over. Some staff just say, boy, I'm glad all the craziness is over and I can get back to life. I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm spent, and I'm financially spent. And then it could be an annoying time of year for staff. Why? Because we got to spend too much money. You see all these wacky commercials this time of year. Buy a car. You see car commercials at the wazoo. It can get crazy. Good movies, though. I mean, they can be a fun time. I like good movies. I'll just mention some to you. The Family Stone, if you've never seen that, that's a great holiday movie. It's a Wonderful Life. You got the Home Alone movies. You got Miracle on 34th Street. You got The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. You got The Holiday. That's a good movie, The Holiday. So, and I'm sure there's many, many more good holiday movies that you can watch. But let's talk about our clients for a minute. What's the holiday mean to them? For many of them, it's not joyful, fun, and enchanting because they're separated from their kids and their families. They're not where they want to be. They're not with who they want to be with. They're often reminded of their crime and all the loss that's happened over the year. And they got way too much time on their hands in our facilities when we're not as available to them. And there's that lull, that 4 to 6 week lull around the holidays. So for many of them, they don't have a best of all, even in their minds. It can be very annoying for them, and they're very glad when it's over. But let me make this statement. How we support them through the holidays can be everything. They're under our care, under our custody. And we need to make the holidays as positive for them and to give them opportunities at least to enjoy pieces of the holiday. And we'll talk about how we do that in a minute. So let's talk about holiday sources of holiday stress. We're going to talk about each of these individually for both staff and client. For staff and for clients, food can be an issue, right? It can be a source of holiday stress, especially if you're eating a lot of sugar and carbohydrates and they're out the wazoonie this time of year. For staff, people to see, way too many people to see, and many people you may not want to see over the holidays. Money for presents. You only have so much money, and it can run short easily. Crazy schedule. Right? We're running around like our heads are cut off. Schedules get crazy this time of year. How about cooking? Way too many people to cook for, too many times to cook or food to cook, and then all the traveling. These are all sources of a lot of stress. The thing about this time of year that's crazy to me as a psychologist is we're all out of our element. We know change is hard on everybody, and how much change in that 6 weeks between Thanksgiving and the New Year happens. It's nutty. And so we should expect stress. And we need, this training is really important to educate yourself and have a plan. Let me make this statement. If you go into the holidays without a plan, you're setting yourself up. It's always good to go in the holidays with a plan. Now the plan may have to be revised, but it will help you get through the holidays and into the first of the year. So how about the client? What are the sources of client stress? Many family problems. Many of them aren't accepted by their family or have very limited access to their families. Many of them have no money. They have kids and they can't buy them things. Many of them are isolated, as I said. Many of them have unknown futures. What's this year going to bring? Do I have a job? Do I have a place to live? Do I have a family that's even going to talk to me again? Too much time on their hands. Over the holidays, too much time on their hands. They're sitting around. That's where you come into play. And then the years in the system. Many of them have been in the system over the holidays for many years. And it gets to be a sad time. So, we're in a position to help our clients, and I'm going to talk a lot about this during this presentation. We need to listen to them. We need to devote some special activities to them over the holidays and as much time as we can afford them. But they need to develop a plan. And maybe it would be good to have a scheduled plan of activities over the holidays in each facility. They need to feel heard. And let me make this statement. It's the little things over the holidays that matter to our clients. It's not the big things. It's the special food maybe offered at the meal. Maybe it's the people that come to visit. Maybe it's the special movie they get to watch. Maybe it's a game they get to play. Maybe it's special music that's played, but it's the small things that can matter to our clients. So I mentioned cortisol. That is the poison. That is the neurotransmitter that gets excreted when you're really stressed out. A little cortisol is normal. It helps us through stressful situations. If somebody's coming at me with a knife, I need some cortisol. I need a boost to get me through that situation, get away from the danger, right? But over time, if somebody's stressed out and too much cortisol gets excreted, it affects every part of their body, from their heads to their toes. It lowers immunity and invites inflammation, and we know inflammation is involved in almost every disease. And we know what happens when our immunity gets compromised. We're susceptible to sickness. It's easy to get heavy or gain weight. We can open ourselves up to heart attack and stroke. Over time, stress can decrease bone density, suppress thyroid function. That makes somebody feel sluggish. And it impairs cognitive ability. Hard to concentrate, focus, think through things. So let's just look from the head to the feet. Stress can make it hard to think. You just can't think with your head too well. It can make you have headaches. It can add to depression, and depression's a brain disease. It can increase your acne on your face. As we move down the body, it can suppress thyroid. It can increase muscle tension. And where do I get my tension when I'm stressed? Mostly in my neck and in my shoulders. So you could do exercise to help that. But that's an area where tension collects. And you can get so tight up there. As we move down the body, sugar imbalances happen. That's where hypoglycemia, that's where diabetes comes from. The nervous system can get affected. People can get really anxious when they're stressed. Cardiovascular problems, if you have heart issues or are more prone to heart attacks, stress can add to that. Endocrine systems, gas. The way you process foods in your stomach, you can start having stomach upsets easy. Skin problems of all kinds can break out through stress. Higher blood pressure, decreased bone density, and as we go down to our feet, our immune systems are compromised. But I want you to see the body. It affects stress, affects every part of the body. And this cortisol, there's ways that we can decrease cortisol if we're aware of our stress. And we're going to talk a lot in this presentation about ways over the holidays to reduce stress. So when we're stressed, we have a fight or flight response. Old caveman, it saved their life. If they were in danger, they ran or they fought, right, to save their lives. But unfortunately, in this society, where things are not as primitive, when we have that fight or flight response, it can affect our body negatively, especially if we can't handle that stress and we keep getting triggered. Our heart beats too fast. Our adrenaline pumps up too much. We breathe faster. Our body temperature gets lowered and glucose gets released over body parts. And on a short-term basis, that's fine. But on a long-term basis, it wears our body out and all those parts we talked about get overwhelmed. And actually can affect reflexes. It's not just fight or flight, it's freeze. There's about 10 different reflexes, automatic in the body, that get impacted. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide. Holiday depression, staff and clients. You can actually feel depressed over the holidays. I'm going to talk about SADS in a minute, seasonal affective disorder. But before we do that, it's normal to feel down and sad around the holidays. Why? Well, because we miss people from the past that have died, or times that have changed. Maybe we miss a time of life. Or maybe our kids have moved away or gone to college, and it's just not the same. Maybe it's hard to get into the meaning of the season. Right? And we don't feel that fun, exuberant, enchanting feelings. Maybe it's more like drudgery. I just want to get through these next couple months and move on, get into spring. Maybe our life's feeling out of control. Right? So all these things play into feeling depressed. Now, depression runs a gambit, a continuum. You can just feel a little down, or you can feel so depressed that you need professional help. So it's important, if you're on the end of the continuum where you're really bad, depression's really knocking your socks off, or you're starting to think suicidal thoughts, get help. And that means for our clients, we've got to be aware how much is the depression impacting them. During this time, we need to treat ourselves and our clients well. Be good to ourselves. We don't do that enough. Right? So, I want to talk for a minute. What was your best holiday memory? What was your worst? We all have a best and a worst if we think through. But think for a minute on your best holidays. Think back on your life. What was good about them? Maybe it was a person you were with. Maybe it was a place you were at over the holidays. Maybe it was just a special combination of things. What were your expectations? Have you ever been able to replicate that best holiday? Probably not, because things change. Do you think hoping it'll happen again is realistic? My answer is probably not, because often we can't bring back what's changed. Some changes are permanent in our lives. So let's talk about the worst holiday. Think back. Well, let me talk about my best holiday. Actually, I'm going to give you about 10 seconds. Think about your best holiday. Okay, got that in mind? How you're feeling, what you were thinking, who was with you, where you were at. Now my best holiday by far is when I got engaged to my wife. It was over Christmas time, and I remember how special it was. And the other holidays I can remember that were really special when my mom was living. We went through a routine. Everybody has a family routine they go through over the holidays. But ours was special. And I miss that. What was your worst holiday? I'll give you a half a minute to think. What was your worst holiday? What made the holiday so bad? Did you learn anything from it so it didn't get repeated? Or can you even prevent it from getting repeated? Hopefully so. Mine was, I remember I got sick once over the holiday, and I just didn't have a good holiday at all. I was sick most of the time. Another time I remember, it was after my parents' divorce, and I ended up going 4 different places over Christmas time, on Christmas Day, because I felt I needed to please everybody and exchange gifts. I had a terrible day because I was on the run on the highways all the time, didn't get to spend much time at any place. I thought, man, this is just not good. Spreading myself out way too thin. But my point of this presentation, hopefully this year you will not have the worst holiday, but you may not have the best holiday either. Make it what it can be. And we have to do that by living in the moment. We'll talk about that later. That's called mindfulness. It's part of a dialectical behavior therapy, but it's learning to live in the moment and enjoy what we got, not what we don't have. Because I'm sure every one of us will miss things this holiday we wish were different. But let's think about what we do have, and let's make the best of what we do have. If we can do that, it'll be a decent holiday. May not be the best of all times, but hopefully it won't be the worst either. It'll be what it is. So I'm going to give you some examples in a minute how to make it a better holiday. But let's talk about holiday depression. This is just a good graphic to look. Look for staff. These things all can lead to holiday depression. High expectations, way too high. Emotional issues, you're not sleeping well and you're not eating well. Financial strain, you're overspending. Constant activity. You're just doing too much. You're exhausting yourself. Relationship problems. Those come into play often, come distinctly into view over the holidays. Problems in relationships. Or maybe missing family members. Clients have a little different things that get them depressed. They don't have as much control over their choices because they're stuck in our facilities. Many of them don't have many good memories to draw from the year because they've been locked up. Many of them are feeling cooped up. They don't want to be in our facility. They want to be out doing something. They want to be enjoying family and life, and they can't. And many of them, as we mentioned earlier, don't have gifts to give or don't have many places to go. All right? So once again, what can you do to help your facility be less depressed this year? Some examples you could do: rent movies, buy a few special foods. If you don't have the money in your budget to buy foods, have a potluck, have staff bring in a few foods. Buy a few simple games for them to play. Just some ideas. Find out from them what they may like. Maybe there's something special that won't cost much that would really make something different. Maybe there's a way to allow them to stay up later at night. I mean, be creative. But creative changes can help clients this time of year. What can you do to decrease holiday-induced depression for clients? Simple things. Listen to them more and observe. When you're in the facilities, listen to them a little more and observe. Ask them questions. Try to be empathetic. What's empathetic? Trying to put yourself in their shoes or try to understand what they're going through. Use program language. We still have to follow our policies and procedures, right? But use program language, right? Have activities scheduled. Have time, intentional time with clients. I know you're not going to have a lot of time because you're busy, but make some time for clients. But I'll tell you, I've learned over the years, just listening to clients this time of year and hearing them, and hearing their hearts, and hearing some of their sadness, can make a difference to them because they're being heard. And they know somebody cares. I can't change your situation, but I can let you know I care. Makes a big difference. So now we're going to talk about SADS for a minute, seasonal affective disorder. This is winter depression. It can emerge anytime between October and February. And what happens, it's related to less sunlight and shorter days. Your body, like during a bright sunny day in the summer or spring, and you know you've got a bright blue sky, the sun shining bright, that sun actually reflects in vitamins in your skin. Melatonin gets released. Vitamin D gets released. Right? But you have so much less sunlight, October to February. So it invites the seasonal affective depression. What are the symptoms of it? Fatigue, irritability, sadness, poor concentration, worry. Anhedonia. That means just a lack of pleasure. Anxiety and poor quality sleep. And these are also signs of major depression, but they often just show up this time of year. And they often go away in the spring on their own. Women are more at risk for seasonal affective disorder because of their hormonal cycles, contraception, menstrual, postpartum, and menopause. So their cycles, women's cycles, can play into their moods this time of year. But especially because of the lack of sunlight. My wife gets this, and she's learned I'll talk about in a minute, there's a bulb you can get, a light at some stores, a full spectrum bulb that you can actually sit under and it hits your retina, and it mimics sunlight, on a bright sunny day. And that can help people with this disorder. So, let's start at the top. You may have to see a doctor for medication if you have this disorder, because it can get quite depressing. And you don't know why all of a sudden you feel like you do. Exercise more, maintain a healthy weight, a healthy diet, that helps. If you're going through these mood shifts because of the sunlight, you need to avoid excessive caffeine or alcohol. That'll only play into your sadness. Decrease sugar. I've learned this time of year, man, I can gain 10 pounds eating sugary foods, and they all taste so good. But sugar's a drug. I've also learned I can only eat a few things of sugar and still enjoy it, or eat a lot less. Instead of eating a big piece of pie, eat a small sliver. But it makes a difference what you put in your body. I mentioned that high intensity full spectrum light. High intensity full spectrum. You can get these bulbs sometimes at Beds or Stuff, those bed places or novelty stores can have these bulbs. Or sometimes I think hardware stores will carry them. But they're a long light bulb. They're usually in a fixture, and you can plug it in, put it by the side of your bed, and just let the light 20 minutes a day shine on your retina, and it will help your mood. Use equip techniques or cognitive behavioral techniques. They can help us when we're struggling with depression. And they build healthy social supports. It's important if you're struggling emotionally to have some healthy social supports, people to talk to, people that understand. But if things get real bad, see a doctor. Sometimes a little medication can help this time of year. The other thing I failed to mention, vitamin D for men, vitamin D3. Usually you can use up to 5,000 units a day. It will help you if you have a tendency to this depression. And also help your heart. So how are you feeling? We're going to get into a lot of the areas of holiday stress here in a minute, but how are you feeling? How's your body? How's the stress impacting you? You don't have to be stressed and depressed. There are answers to help. But once again, here's a diagram going from the brain down to the toes, the reproductive organs. It can all be affected by stress. Nobody likes a stomach ache or heartburn. Nobody likes their heart racing or blood pressure increasing too much. Nobody likes a headache or feeling nervous or sad. Nobody likes having diarrhea or constipation. And for women do not like having bad menstrual periods or painful periods. And then those with skin problems or muscle aches and tension, stress just adds to it. So stress affects every area of your bodies. All right, so let's get into these areas now. The last half of the training is going to be actually talking about specific sources of holiday stress and what can you do about them for yourself and for clients. So let's talk first about the source of materialism. What does the media say? Buy all the gifts, buy more than last year. Please your children, please your spouse, please yourself. But let's listen. Ouch! Who's going to pay the bills later? What's your debt going to be? Do you really want to start the year out in the hole? Do we really need all the things we're buying here? Is this really going to matter that much whether I buy the child 10 things or 5 things? Good questions to ask yourself. Materialistic pressure. So what are some of the answers? Well, helpful answers for staff. Trim back on your budget. You can still have a fun, productive time where you get people thoughtful gifts, but you don't kill your budget. There's inexpensive ways to celebrate. Spend time. People would rather have you spend time than money. I've learned that. Spend time with loved ones. You can't buy happiness. Give to people in need. Sometimes giving back can be tremendous uplift for us. There's a lot of people in need this time of year. I think families that give back, boy, you always get something back from giving. And it's usually not monetary, but boy, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's an uplifting, great feeling. Clients. What are the helpful answers for this materialism? They don't have the money that we have, so they're not in the same boat. Help them make something for a loved one or write a letter. Those letters and those simple things they make for their kids might be a picture, might be an simple art project, might be something personal. It means a whole lot. Look for activities with little money attached. There's a lot of special movies on television, for example, or activities, things that clients could invest in this time of year that wouldn't cost them an arm and a leg. Maybe there's some things Alvis could invest in, taking people on small trips, like maybe to the zoo lights or something. But let's look for things that aren't super expensive, but that would have some meaning for our clients. Help them focus on contacting loved ones. For those that have healthy supports, make sure they're contacting their loved ones, either through phone or through letters. But it's important they're connecting. And help our clients give back. I'll tell you, some of our clients would get a lot out of giving people in need something. Maybe volunteering some time at a soup kitchen. Maybe helping a kid out with something. Obviously, it's got to be within their probation guidelines or parole guidelines, but man, there's ways for our clients to give back this time of year and feel better about their situation. Next source of holiday stress, expectations for joy and pleasure. Okay? This is going to be the best holiday yet. I want everyone to be happy. I want to have a good feeling all the time. Commercials say this is the happiest time of year. Everyone should get along. I'm a romantic. Can you see if you have a lot of these thoughts, you might be in for a big letdown? Why? Well, because everything doesn't always go as planned, or our expectations don't always get met, or our dollars cannot always be stretched to the max. And we don't control other people's happiness, do we? Only our own. So what are some helpful answers here? For staff, I think you need to lower your expectations a bit. Be more practical. Right? There's certain things that are practical and not. Maybe you might have to say no to certain things. Accept imperfections in self and others. Nobody's perfect, and especially this time of year, some of the bad stuff gets brought out in some certain people. But try to accept your own imperfections in others this time of year. Expect during the holidays some things are just going to go wrong. They're not going to go as you want them to go. And then here's a biggie. This is living in the moment. This is DBT. This is mindfulness. Look for simple things to enjoy. Be aware in the moment. Might be a snowfall to enjoy. Might be a holiday decoration. Might be a person you haven't seen for a long time. But look for simple, might be a movie you haven't seen in ages. But look for simple things to enjoy. Might be going to church or worshiping in a special way. How about for a client? Help them focus on concrete tasks to stay busy. They want to get through the holidays in one piece. They're bored. Give them some concrete tasks in the facilities that they can stay busy and occupied. Identify a few positive people to reach out to so they know there's people internally and hopefully externally they can reach out to if they're sad over the holidays or just need to talk. Look for simple things to enjoy, just like us. Help your clients focus on some simple things that might be fun. Go into the season and the holiday with a plan. Just like we need to plan, we're going to talk about it at the end here. Let's help our clients plan. As I said, a schedule for the facility. Maybe their own goals. Maybe they want to read a book over the holiday. Maybe they want to get ahead of a job search. Whatever. They're going to have the time to do it. But they need a plan. It's always important this time of year to look forward, not behind. We can get depressed if we look behind. Things that went wrong this year, people that we're missing. It's really healthy to look forward. What can I do this year that would be positive or make this a better or an okay holiday? Look ahead. Next area, overworked and exhausted. We can all relate to this, right? This time of year. I have a lot to do, and I won't stop until it's all done. I'm going out there and finding all the bargains. Oh boy, I only have 4 things left to cook. I don't want to miss any of the holiday events on my list. How many more days? You can drive yourself crazy this time of year. Overworking, overdoing. Sometimes we need to slow down. I may not make it to Christmas or my holiday, whatever I celebrate, let alone New Year's, or I may get sick. Overworked and exhausted. Easy to have happen before we know it. And let me make this statement. If you try to live up to everybody else's expectations, what you think they want from you, you're going to be exhausted and unhappy. You'll never meet them all either. So it's better to realize, hey, I can only do so much, and I'll do what I can. I'll have a plan. But if I don't get it all done, it's okay. If I don't see everybody that I think I should see, I can see some after Christmas or after the holidays. Really important to think that through. Helpful answers to being overworked and exhausted. Staff, only do a few fun activities. Say no to some things. Whatever's going to cause you major stress, say no to it, whether it's a people or an event. I've learned some holidays I have to say no to some parties or seeing some people because it's just too much. Do some relaxing things and fun things you want to do. You got to have a plan here again. If you really want to go to the zoo lights, make time for it. If you really want to see a special friend, make time for it. It might be very important to your mental health. Take care of yourself so don't get too overworked and exhausted. Right? Remember, this too shall pass. This is only a 6-week period here. Right? Before Thanksgiving through the end of the year. It's about a 6-week period. So take care of yourself. This too shall pass. The first of the year will come. Prioritize and take some time off work. It's a great time of year to take a break. And a needed break, because you're going to need a little extra energy with all this extra work. So clients, help them not isolate. It's easy for clients to isolate this time of year. Help them talk to staff and family. Hook them up the best you can. Give them activities to stay busy with so they have some choices in the facility. Have a plan. Encourage them to complete ALVIS. This might be a time of year they can really put it in perspective. I want to get out of here. I want to do what I need to do. I want to move on with my life. We're in the position to help our clients greatly, but we got to be aware. You can relate to this next stressor. Diet gone haywire. What's your favorite food? Oh boy, I've got a lot of them this time of year. I love eggnog. I love special ice creams, ice cream cakes. I love cookies. Oh, all kind of holiday cookies, right? I love special meats, smoked meats. Like, what's the smoked, can't think of the place you get the smoked meats. Oh, so good. Au gratin potatoes. We could just go on, right? But we pay a price if our diet goes too haywire. What? Our belt gets tighter. We may run ourselves down. That's why gym memberships do so well in January. Everybody gains a few pounds and feels guilty. Right? And just remember this, in the winter it's harder to lose weight. Why? Because you're not as active. And you don't have as many hours of light in the winter. So the extra food you gain from going off your diet, can affect your mood and health negatively. So be aware of it. Maybe weigh yourself more over the holidays so you don't allow yourself to eat way too much. Or instead of having 2 portions, have 1 portion of something. Okay? So, here's some helpful answers for staff and clients so your diet doesn't go way too haywire. Maybe count the calories, or maybe just splurge on a select few dishes. Decide at this meal you see 30 dishes on the table, I'm going to only have 4 of these. But splurge on a few things. You can eat more crap or things you shouldn't be eating if you're exercising more, because it will burn more calories. So maybe increase your exercise. If you don't have exercise equipment, walk more. That's great exercise. And then it's always good to weigh yourself daily. They've proven if people weigh themselves daily, they're more conscious of what they're eating, and they're more careful about what they eat. But just remember, man, what you put on over the holidays, it's hard to get off in the winter. Most people can't remove that until spring or summer. So it's important to be careful over the holidays with diet. Feelings of failure this time of year. It's easy to look back on the year and feel like, man, I just let people down. I let myself down. Things didn't happen this year as I wanted them to. I didn't get what I wanted. I'm here at Alvis. My life's a failure by looking back. But the truth is everybody has failure in their lives, and it's pointless to reflect on it. What could have been? It is what it is. Hopefully you did your best, and you had a few struggles this year. That's normal. What are ways to look at failure this time of year? Some helpful answers. It's always healthier to reflect on what went well. So some things you failed at. But what did you do well this year? What went off okay? Be thankful for what you have, not for what you don't have. They've proven. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a quick. So being thankful for what you have, not what you don't have. Set some short-term goals. That's a helpful answer to this one. Right? Set some short-term goals. That helps us have a positive energy and positive direction. But our clients sometimes need help with those, don't they? Maybe they could set a short-term goal over the holidays that would help them get through. We're going to talk about holiday planning here in a little bit. How about reward yourself with a few special treats? Okay? That can help you just feel good about you. Doesn't have to be food treats. Could be doing a drawing. It could be practicing a skill, hobby. But reward yourself with a few special things. Okay, next. Unwanted people. Boy, that's an area of stress, isn't it? We don't want to see unwanted family members or other people this time of year, but sometimes we're forced into it or feel like we're forced. If I don't see my cousin, she's going to be mad at me. I have a lousy time when I put on that game face and try to act like I can tolerate that part of the family. Now, some things may be beyond your control, but some things would be within it. Sometimes it's when we see people. Maybe we don't have to see them on the holiday. It could be after the holiday or before the holiday. But if it's somebody that's going to create a lot of stress for you and it's going to create sadness for you to be around them, you got to weigh your options. But it might not be in your best interest. And sometimes saying no or organizing when we see people can make a big difference. Right? But we all have unwanted people that we feel obligated to see this time of year. What are helpful answers? Well, for staff, schedule time with people you want to see. Make sure most of the people that you see over the holidays are people you want to see. Once again, if you need to see somebody that's unwanted, plan it after the holidays or before. Take control of your life situations that make things less stressful for you. Nobody's going to take control of your schedule and your holiday plans except for you. And if you're not the one that takes control of them, they will take control of you. Let me say it again. Take control of your life and your holiday plans, because if not, they'll take control of you. Worry about your stress more than others' happiness. Right? We can't make everybody happy over the holidays. Worry about your stress level and what that's doing to you. How about for clients? Same thing. We can help them only interact with those who bring peace and goodwill. They shouldn't be calling people that cause too much drama and conflict. Keep them focused on activities in the facility and less on undesired people and commotion. Now, they can't obviously divorce themselves from everybody in the facility if they don't like certain people, but they don't have to have a lot of interaction with them over the holidays, and they can stay busy doing things they want to do. Help them accomplish a few goals if they can articulate them. If they have problems with somebody or feeling real down, make yourself available to talk to them. I've learned this time of year, just having somebody listen can mean a lot to clients. Right? Sometimes they just need to talk and get something off their chest, or maybe just reflect on the year. But they need to be heard. And when they're not heard, it makes life so much more difficult for them. The next stress, holiday stress. This must be the best holiday of all. That's a stressor, if you believe that. I've spent so much time planning and preparing for this day, this holiday that has to be great and better than last year. Everyone's counting on this being the best holiday. I want everyone to enjoy themselves and be happy. Why shouldn't everyone be happy? Boy, you're setting yourself up here. Because no matter what you do, everybody's not going to be happy. You can't control it. And this is a depressing time for some people. So tell yourself, I do not have to compete with other years or happier times. This isn't a competition. This is what it is this year. How can I make it the best time of year I can? So for both staff and clients, try to live in the moment of the day or the moment of the season. Be present. If you're present, you're going to have some enjoyable times. If you're present, you're going to appreciate some things you see and do. If you're present, you'll connect with some people. I'm going to be happy for what I have this holiday. If you truly have Thanksgiving, bring Thanksgiving into the holiday. You'll be happier. You'll be more content. You may have some difficult times still, but you'll have some relief. I'm glad I'm with my family, even with all its problems and all its loss. Every family has problems. But I hope there's something you can be glad you're connected with. Then try to live in the present most of the holiday. What I mean by living in the present, not living up in your head. We can do damage living up in our heads, playing old tapes, ruminating on bad thoughts. Try to stay present with what's happening around us, with those we do care about. It'll make things more enjoyable. And remember, it's a truism. Next Christmas or next holiday is going to be very different. If you don't celebrate Christmas, the next holiday, next year will be very different than this one. Right? So it's trying to live in the moment, make the best of our situation. Not always easy to do. But let's not have unrealistic thoughts, because we set ourselves up when we do that. This doesn't have to be the best holiday of all. If it ends up being the best holiday of all the stars will have aligned perfectly. And that happens every once in a while, but not often in a lifetime. As I said in my life, I can only think of 2 or 3 holidays that were just off the charts. Most of them were just so-so, and a couple of them were not so good. But I've learned in doing this presentation that the lower I raise the bar lower, and I put myself around supportive people, and I go into the holidays with a plan, things always end up going better. Next stressor. I must do what others expect of me. Man, we're setting ourselves up here again, aren't we? My kids expect everything on their lists of gifts. My husband expects his favorite meal and desserts. My friends expect I'll get them a gift. My family expects I'll do all planned activities they want me to do, no matter how I feel. I feel my church expects me to be in the play and attend all Christmas services. If we try to live up to all these expectations, what's going to happen? I think the answer is obvious. We'll be in a bad place. Living up to everyone else's expectation leaves you empty, with no time for yourself, feeling exhausted and unhappy. Not a good place to be around the holidays. So, this is a tough one, because I know we want to please others during the holiday, and I know others have agendas, and they want us at certain places and things. This is where it gets tricky, but here's some answers for staff and clients. You need to have a plan for yourself and others that's realistic and doable for you, right? And won't make you feel crazy. If you feel like your scheduled plan is going to make you crazy and it's not realistic, redo it. It's okay to say no to people and activities. It's okay. I've learned people deal better with no than you think they're gonna. Or as long as they know you care and you're going to make time for them at another time, usually people are okay with that. But even if they aren't, is it worth your sanity? I will make decisions for my time dependent on how I'm feeling and how anxious it makes me. If an activity is going to be okay and I'm going to be calm, it's okay to do. But if I'm going to start getting real anxious about it and it's making me crazy, better to say no. And I've learned once again, remember I was running around all 4 different people's houses on Christmas. I learned by saying I couldn't do that anymore. People could accept that. I will let others know what I'm able and not able to do. So if you set your limits and where you're at with people, usually they can accept that. But once again, you don't want to go around feeling crazy, especially around the holidays. Not a good thing. Having no post-holiday plan. So let's talk about this for a minute. And then we're going to set a plan at the end here. So, no post-holiday plan. When the holidays are over, what are you going to do? What do we know when the holidays are over? It's somewhat of a letdown. All the commotion's done. What do we got looked forward to? Well, in Ohio, at least 2 or 3 more bad months of weather. Not much sunlight. Cold and snow. Ice. Not a whole lot to look forward to. So having a post-holiday plan is helpful. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And we've got to deal with our bills now in the beginning of the year. We've got to deal with the weather. We've got to deal with the darkness. And we got to wait until spring because things don't change a lot around Ohio until spring. So the holidays come to an abrupt close. All of a sudden there's not much activity and it's a letdown. So what's the answer? Have a post-holiday plan. Setting some short and long-term goals for yourself. And we'll talk about what that might look like later. But it could be just a plan of getting involved in a hobby. Or it might be accomplishing something you want to accomplish early in the year. Reading a good book. Doing something special with the person. But if you don't have a plan, it won't happen. People do this all the time. Have a post-holiday plan for exercise and eating to feel better. That's pretty standard anymore. New Year's resolution, I'm going to exercise. And that's where, fortunately or unfortunately, the health clubs make a lot of money from people. Having a project at work or home which will capture your interest and direct your attention. The winter months are a great time for a home project. Or to start up a hobby maybe, or reassume a hobby you haven't done for a while. Find a direction to deepen your faith and renew some friendships which you've neglected. That's a good time after the holidays. Often there's people to see and things to do that are enjoyable. Good time to meet somebody for dinner or a drink or just to hang out. But be intentional. So, I want you to do some thinking right now, and I want you to develop a plan for yourself, and you could do this with clients too, both sets a few goals for yourself for the holidays to get through them, and after the holidays, when those winter months set in. So I want you to take a few minutes here and set 2 goals, and then we'll talk about them. Okay, hope everybody's got something written down for during the holidays and after. We're not together as a group, so we can't share, but I'll share a couple of mine. So goals for me to get through the holidays. One is I'm going to see my direct family 3 times over the holidays at least. 3 separate times. I've got a smaller family now. Now that some of my members are gone, and I'm going to spend quality time with those family members. That's one goal, to get through the holidays. Another goal through the holidays is I have a good book, a Christian book I want to read for myself that I've wanted to read. I'm going to spend time completing that over the holiday. After the holidays, goal 1, I am going to reassume a hobby. I've got coin collecting, and I want to learn more about it. So I'm going to work through that over the winter months and increase probably my coin collection and learn a little bit more about the coins. Second, I've got exercise equipment at home. I'm going to continue to exercise through the winter month at least 3 times a week. And I already know what I'm going to do. I'm going to do some exercise bike and I'm going to do some leg work. But I've got those goals set. So it's important. Whatever you wrote down, put it somewhere. Try to remember for during the holidays. And my thesis to you is, if you have these goals and you live up to the goals or at least pay attention to them, it'll help you get through the holidays. If you have some goals for after the holidays, it will help you through the winter months. Not that it'll be perfect, but I have found when you set your mind to something, it helps you through things better rather than just winging it. So, discussion, and then we'll be done. What are you looking forward most to this holiday? What are you looking least forward to? Write down your answer. Okay, second, what are you most thankful for this holiday season? What are you most thankful for? Write your answer now. And then finally, what can you give to others this holiday to make a difference? It doesn't have to be money, or it doesn't have to be gifts. It could be time. It could be a thoughtful gathering, but what could you give to others this holiday to make a difference? I hope you've done some reflection and thinking over this holiday season we're in. It is a stressful time. It is a crazy time. But I would argue if you pay attention to some of the things that we talked about that are stressors and try to find ways to alleviate stress when you can, wherever you can, it will be a more enjoyable holiday. And if you have a plan for yourself going into the holiday and after the holiday, you will have some direction in your life. It will alleviate some of the stress and at least will help set you in a direction. And I find the worst thing to do over the holidays and the winter months is to have no direction. As I said, I've done this presentation once a year for many years, and I've learned each year. And it's not easy for me, even though I know some of the things I need to be doing. It doesn't make it any easier for me. Each holiday I have to be mindful, try to live in the moment, not up in my head. And every year is a challenge because it's different. But the more things that we can focus on positively to lessen our stress, the better holiday it'll be. So thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great holiday season. And I hope you have a lot of good connections with people you want to see. And I hope you spend time being good to yourself this holiday and trying to lessen stress where you can. Have a great holiday and have a great new year. Thanks.